and welcome to today's podcast. My name is Shikha. I am the founder of Right Side Story. I'm very, very excited today to bring a very important conversation on psychological first aid in today's schools. So, what is psychological first aid and why do we have to talk about it? Well, because the biggest reason is that we need to provide immediate emotional and psychological support to students who have been facing a lot of challenges here and there. So we thought that it's very, very critical and important for us to talk about psychological first aid and also to talk about in such a way where we bring in experts, who can help us understand what is PFA, why do schools need it, so on and so forth. And to help us understand better today, we have a very, very incredible guest with us today. He is a powerhouse of knowledge and experience. Over 30 years of expertise, he has dedicated his life to empowering minds. And as a special educator, as a dyslexia language trainer, counselor and psychotherapist, life skills trainer, and an NLP practitioner, his work has transformed a lot of lives. So on this session, I would like to welcome Mr. B. Moses from the Assam Valley School. So welcome, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for this wonderful introduction. Okay, just I tried my level best to learn. I'm still a learner. And thank you very much for giving me an opportunity, Shikha, to discuss about this crucial topic, the psychological first aid. It's very important nowadays. The changing world, the changing environment, the children are exposed to different opportunities as well as disasters in this world. So we need to understand what is psychological first aid and how it can be helpful for everyone to help the children to help themselves. That's the most important aspect. So actually, I would like to say a very important point that this discussion, what I'm going to have with you all, is just an awareness and training purpose only, not for any clinical interventions. Just it's a discussion on how well we can help the people who are in need, who are the victims or the survivors of the different difficult disasters or conditions or distress. That's what the most important thing.
First, we'll go with the basics. That first is what is psychological first aid, and also why is it essential in schools?
Yeah. So before I go into why it is essential in schools, I would like to give you a brief about how it all started. That's very important for us to know that. Okay, it's the beginning is really it is due to the different disasters happen in the world, where the wars, natural calamities, many things made the world community to understand that there is a need to help the people. For, in basically the American Psychological Association as well as the American Association of the Red Cross Society also main reasons to think about psychological first aid, which is crucial for the further interventions. And moreover, very importantly, 9/11 incident happened in America, which has really opened up the opportunities or the importance of understanding the psychological first aid. Why it is very important that those people who got psychological first aid and aftermath, whatever the interventions they were able to do, it gave very good results. I think so 25 to 30% of people, the recovery was very good after they received the psychological first aid. That's the most important thing. That's the way, everything started. And the importance of psychological first aid to the school children also started with full swing in the world. And everywhere, many schools or institutions started working with the children, school children, the importance of implementing the psychological first aid.
Basically, you're trying to say that it has been, very, very critical, specifically after 9/11, or it has been only used for the war victims or the, people from the army. This is
Yeah,
what
of
you mean?
course. Yeah.
for that, but after 9/11, it was started being used for the normal people, the public as well.
Situations. It's not only for example, if you really see it, for example, now anything happens in the world after that, aftermath, for example, a flood or a terrorist attack or
Or
the war.
or if
eh,
we talk about the wars that, the recently we've seen wars.
Yeah. See
Like,
that well, at the end, the people are affected and the children are very much affected. And after that, they have to come back. Where they are going back? They normally go back. They go back to the schools. They come with burdens, pains, and suffering.
yeah.
That's the reason no schools have to play important role in working with the children and the mental health and well-being. So
Mhm.
psychological first aid helps them. For nowadays, if you really see it, Shikha, what I'm trying to say is that the psychological first aid or the word first aid is very much needed. It is not only the emotional first aid as well as the physical first aid also involved in that. When we talk about the psychological first aid, the most important thing is safety comes first, and then stabilize comes first, and the comfort comes second, and stabilize is second, and then the comfort comes to third. So that means safety, stabilization, and comfort. These three things are all most important aspects. At the
Mhm.
same time, when we look at the present situations in the world, the children are going to, there are school children going to school, they are day school children, boarders, but everyone encounters different situations. They see the different situations, different accidents, unfortunate situations happening everywhere around the world. They witness now, they are able to see or witness through the mobile uh, the most dangerous incidents, things happening in the world. It affects them a lot. We do not know. It may not happen at the family, their own neighborhood, but still it can have impact in their mind. So they get into this stressful situation. That's the most important thing we have to look into that. So children, when they are having that access to or witness this type of things, then their mental health is getting affected. Apart from that, you see the most important thing when you're looking at it is very important. When there's an accident happens on the road, now we can see more than the good Samaritans, there will be videographers, cameramans. These are the very numb mindset prevailing in the society. That's also we have to see into that. And it's very important that the psychological first aid is not only for one person or for the psychiatrist or the psychologist, it's for everyone. Everyone should know how to provide first aid and so the psychological first aid also.
Great, sir. Thank you so much. I think it has definitely given me, clarity on what exactly psychological first aid is, and also understanding that how important it is for every human who is in touch with humans. Yeah, because we don't know what kind of help we can give. It's as
Absolutely.
it's as good as CPR. If you know CPR, you'll be able to handle an emergency. You can save a life, So,
That's why no, when the PF is defined by different organizations, one of the common definition we can say that it's a compassionate and supportive presence designed to mitigate acute distress and assess the need for continued mental health and care. That
Mhm.
means the compassionate and supportive presence. What does it mean? It is not sympathetic presence. It is an empathetic presence. That means they are very simple when we say the sympathetic and empathetic. Empathetic presence is nothing but I feel your feeling. I am there. I give my support to you. When it's a sympathetic, I feel for you.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm there, but I feel for you. But there's no action involved in that. So that's what that now, and this is very important that no, the empathy involves in psychological first aid. Whoever is willing to learn psychological first aid, their first understanding is their empathy. That's very, very important. Otherwise, no, it is of no use. Otherwise, the real intervention, sympathetic intervention, is not going to really help the person who is suffering at that moment, who is in a distressful situation. And also, I would like to say that WHO also beautifully defines. Uh, it is a description of a humane, supportive response to a fellow human being who is suffering and who may need support. This is a this is a recent explanation or the definition given by the WHO. That means there's an acute distress, so a compassionate and supportive care is given in the wake of adversity. That's what is all about the psychological first aid.
But sir, I have a question. Like when we talk about PFA, psychological first aid, how is it different from the traditional mental health support?
Mental health support, see, PFA also comes under the mental health, but it is PFA is not a diagnostic formulation, nor it is a process of therapeutic formulation and intervention. It's not a therapy.
Okay.
It's a first aid intervention. And the duty is to attend the situation empathetically and help the person. For example, if the person met with an accident, lying over the on the road, what you're going to do? You go there, you just look at him, listen to him. You try to look at him, listen to him, what he's trying to say, anything, how much, what is his emotions, you understand, and give that support. You call the ambulance, you try to help him to reach the further treatment. That means helping him to reach the further treatment. That means you are helping him to be resilient so that till he gets the treatment. So the psychological first aid is the main thing, that at least you are allowing the person to sustain for such time so that he get the best medical interventions as early as possible. That's the most important thing. Whether it's a physical intervention or emotional intervention, your presence there is you are proactive in helping the person to reach the necessary intervention or to the intervention or to the treatment.
So which technically means that anybody who is psychological first aid trained is the bridge between the victim and the treatment.
Yes, victim, the survivor, and the treatment. So if that's that you're bridging the gap. Otherwise, if it's left on the road, the issue becomes bigger. The issue becomes very bigger, and the person may succumb to the situation. He may lose all the confidence, courage, everything is already is in a distressful situation. Okay, that's very important. And from there, from this angle only, now as a schools, we look into uh, the well-being of the children, mental health and well-being of the children is depending upon how quick and how best we address the needs of the children.
Mm-hmm. And I think after pandemic, the needs of the children have also, changed a lot. They are not the usual generic needs that the kids used to have, you know.
Actually, no, I'm really, sometimes I think that no pandemics has really opened up the minds of the adults or the service providers. Okay, and it has made us to understand that there are children, these children can also undergo severe trauma in their life. It was not visible to us for a long time. But after pandemic, as an adult or a teacher or a special educator or a therapist, whoever it is, or a father, mother, we are able to understand that children undergo severe trauma. Really, the amount of anxiety, the sadness the children develop, the way they refuse to take part in things, and also they showed a lot of tiredness when they came back to the school. This is what I observed, and anger or acting out. The response was really difficult. The behavior was difficult. So that time, we understood that how important uh, the psychological first aid and afterwards the uh, therapeutic intervention or the mental health interventions for the children.
Mhm. But sir, do you feel that psychological first aid is a very, very new concept in Indian schools? Or you think that, schools have been doing it with a different name or something like that? But I just want to understand that, is it a new concept? Is it an alien concept? Is it a need or a luxury? This is what my question is.
Actually, you have asked too many questions, and I'll tell you. I start from the last question. It is not. There is nothing called expensive in that. It's anyone can learn it.
Mhm.
Anybody can learn it. There is no need for any education qualification, background, knowledge in psychology or psychiatry. Anyone can learn it. It is not going to be expensive. The best important aspect, the most important aspect here is that awareness. Of course, in India, this awareness is in pockets. Some schools are showing a lot of interest and enthusiasm to do that. There are schools, there are institutions, they are not showing that important. Unfortunately, in our country, academics is given most important uh, uh, for the schools to concentrate than to concentrate on any other aspect, particularly the mental health and well-being. Then after the pandemic, it has opened up for all the schools that importance of mental health. And our government is also trying in the trying institutions to really recruit special educators, counselors to deal and work with the children who are affected by different disabling conditions. And also, you know that there are experience in our country in some schools faced very difficult situations and some children lost their life also. This also opened up avenue for other schools and every organization to think about the importance of helping the children, or we can tell them that to catch them young. That's very important so that no, we can help the children to uh, succeed in their life, particularly their academic or the sports or any other curricular activities. Otherwise, it's going to be a difficult task. And our country is the country which has got a lot of children. These are going to be the pillars in the future, and these pillars should be having a good mental health and well-being. Otherwise, you just think that what's going to happen to our country. That's what's very important. So, yes, there are schools doing it, and most of the schools, they are, I don't think so, they are even aware of something like that is prevailing. So we
Mhm.
need to push forward, create awareness in the society, spread the news vehemently and very seriously, and reach the people. I mean, the reaching the unreachable is most important right now.
Yeah. Uh, Thank you so much, sir. This was very, very insightful. I also want to understand, I'll come back to the same question which was missed to be addressed in the beginning. Is PFA for the counselors of the school, or is PFA for everybody who's dealing with the children in a day-to-day life, in their day-to-day
Yes,
life?
I actually answered this question. I was talking about the definition of the PFA. Uh, PFA is for everybody. Even the utility worker also can learn.
Mm-hmm.
Even the accountant can learn. The securities can learn. Parents can learn. Anyone can learn PFA because the emergency strikes without warning.
Yeah.
Emergency doesn't strike. Is there any counselor? Is there any psychiatrist? There any doctors? There any hospitals? There no. It doesn't look at it. Happens. It happens. That means when we talk about the PF, psychological first aid, the most important thing is that preparedness. The word is very, very crucial. That preparedness is the very important word. How much we are prepared enough to deal with that problem. That means preparedness is nothing but making everyone aware of the techniques involved in giving psychological first aid. That means emergency response system. When we talk about the emergency response system, it's not only the siren or intermittent siren, it is the action by the human beings. And the child is not going to be there always in front of the educated or more sophisticated people in the world. They may be next to the ordinary kitchen staff or an ordinary gardener, and they are the people. They are going to be the Messiah. They are going to be the Good Samaritan when the child faces any problem. That's very important. That's what the thing is. That's why no. When we talk about that PFA, it's very important that no. So when the child undergoes any crisis in life, any problem at the home level, even the death of the parents, death of the family members, or their close friends, or any other incident happened, or the loss of the family, I mean the business loss, it affects the child. That means the child is under some crisis, or the person is under some crisis. So when we talk about the PFA in the school environment, when I'm talking about it, it is remove the social and emotional barriers to learning after the crisis. Because children are coming to the school to study,
Yeah.
but they are coming with a lot of burden,
Yeah.
suffering. It is not going to help them to reach that goal of learning. The second activity we can talk about is how to engage them actively, to keep the students actively engaged in learning by working on or reducing their fear, stress, and worry. It's very important. If you want to engage a child, if you want to engage a person in a learning activities, the first thing is that what is bothering them?
Mm.
What is making them not to involve and get engaged with the activities is very important. And we have to look into that thing. Fear, stress, and worry. For that, there's no need for great education. By looking at the child, you will be able to understand, oh God, the child is having some problem, and try to deal with the child immediately. And also adaptation. Help the child to cope with the situations and problems what the child is facing, and adapt and bring it to the new normal. That's what we say. No, after pandemic, you must have seen Shika, and you have been your organization been working like my God, like anything to deal with the mental health and well-being of the children after the pandemic. That's what we call the new normal. So new normal is from one disabling condition, a distressful situation to the new situation. That means the child is, we are bringing the child to the new environment. For that, we need all the people to be engaged or understood or should be trained to deal with the uh, crisis situations and support the child.
Fantastic. I think once again, thank you so much, sir. This was very, very insightful. And I think now I definitely have that clarity that why. But my next question to you is, which I've been, thinking a lot. So this question is that what is the difference between a PFA trained teacher and a normal teacher? I know you've made us understand how important it is and what is it, but maybe with a real life example, maybe with just an example for all of us to understand that, okay, if I am PFA trained, this is how I'm going to handle this same situation. And if I'm not trained, what damage I can do,
Yes.
or what
When you are
can I contribute to the crisis situation even more, what I mean? So
that's very important. When you said about the CPR, just imagine a trained CPR and untrained CPR. What could happen?
of
That's the
course.
same thing. See, I want to say that if a teacher is trained in psychological first aid or the psychological interventions, the basic interventions, what we are talking about, the teacher should be able to understand the emotions of the child.
Mm.
The teacher should be, he or she should be able to read the emotional aspect, the fears, safety related things, loss or guilt or blame, what is there in the child mind has to be read by the teacher.
Mm.
This is very important. If the teacher is not able to understand the emotions of the child, it is not going to be any of use for the child to have such a teacher. The
Mm.
second thing, one of the very important thing, most of the teachers are very much involved in this understanding the behavior of the child. Okay, they all know about it. The children attention, concentration, and in the boarding school, they understand their sleep pattern, their mood, their appetite, their anger, tantrum, everything, or sometimes withdrawal. All these behavior issues also to be understood and analyzed and observed by the teachers. This is the second one is the emotional reactions of the children. Second is the behavioral reactions. And the third one is very important that the cognitive reactions, we call it. How the child, whether the child is confused or showing any interest, excess or a low, what sort of interest the child is having, any thoughts, or the child is trying to remember any of the past experience. It can be anything, in the smells or even the sounds, whether the child is facing any problem cognitively, anywhere the child is affected. This also any teacher can understand. Okay. Then the fourth important aspect is the physiological reactions, how the child responds. It's ordinary, the startle effect, sudden startle effect, what the child can have, and any complaints, the somatic complaints. Oh, my stomach is paining. All these things are also the symptoms, headaches, fatigue, and also aches and pains. No, these are all the four major areas as a teacher. As a person who is working with the children, should understand that one is the emotional reaction, behavioral reaction, cognitive reactions and the physiological reactions. Now I'm asking you the question, I'm repeating the question to you that will it be possible for an untrained teacher to understand these four reactions? It's difficult. So that's why no training is imperative. That in-service training, training by the external resource people, online training, MOOC courses, everything is very important. Teachers should keep learning.
Yeah.
Teaching is nothing but learning. And dealing with the children, learning the behavior aspect, emotional aspect, cognitive aspect, and physiological aspect of the child is very, very important for the teachers.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you so much.